Is it hard to access affordable, healthy food? Then listen carefully. Daryl Addison, an African-American inventor, has patented a process for growing food on demand. He called it Torpedo Pot. Torpedo Pot is a fully automated flower pot that gives you control over your plant's environment. All you do is add soil, seeds, and plants to the flower pot and watch it grow. Yes, Torpedo Pot grows the rest. Visit www.torpedopot.com.
Hello, what's up, our dear viewers? Welcome to this episode on the African Diaspora News Channel. My name is Dauglas Majwega and I'm coming to you live from Kampala, Uganda. I am here with a very special guest and I'm so excited that finally I have caught up with her. I know she has a very, very tight schedule, but I'm very glad that she has managed to make time to speak to our audience about a number of things. I met this lovely woman, this African queen, through a very good friend of mine, Brother Kellen Cash, and I'm so glad that we finally connected. So this is our sister, Madam Olivia Nantongo. Please say hello to our audience and tell us a bit of who you are, and then we will be glad to get in. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you, Douglas. Thank you for inviting me here. It's a pleasure. First of all, shout out to Brother Kellen Cash, King Kellen Cash. Yes, he's the plug. You know, he's the he does it all.
Right.
And greetings to the audience. I'm happy to be here.
Right. Well, we're glad, super excited to have you on this episode. And we would love to, for those of our viewers that do not know who you are and what you do, please just give us a bit of background of who you are, and we would love to know you like I know you, thankfully. So, yes.
So my name is Olivia Nantongo, currently the head diaspora coordinator on trade and investments under the Office of the President and the Diaspora Affairs Office.
Right. Well, you heard her. We are chilling with the VIP in our midst, and the simplicity, the simplicity that she carries, and the professionalism that you carry. I really appreciate that, and thank you once again for creating time for us. I know you have such a tight schedule. I know you're leaving in a few days, and I will catch up with you again on your way out of the country. She is based in the United States, but originally Ugandan, right?
Absolutely.
That is wonderful. So tell us a bit about what you do. I know you have, rightfully said that you work with the Office of the President, the head of Trade and Investment, Diaspora Affairs. What is it exactly that you do in that office?
Well, what I basically do in a nutshell is bring investors to Uganda, but not just to Uganda, actually, to the continent of Africa.
Right.
Yeah, because you might have an investor who's interested in Uganda, and once they get on ground, they realize maybe it's a different setup for Uganda than what they wanted, or maybe the regulations are different to another country. So it enables me to work with other African countries, actually.
Right.
It's a smooth process.
Right. All right. So that is wonderful, because we are in the realm, we are in the season where there is a global African awakening, and our brethren that we
love that,
taken from the continent during the times of slavery, and now realizing that they are misplaced, and they are under different kinds of oppression. Same story with the African continentals, but then it is that time in on the cycle of life where the sons and daughters of the African continent are craving to return home. So it's very it's an honor to have a person that is helping such people to come home.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely there is an awakening taking place. They always say there is no place like home.
Right.
Even though you've been taken from a specific place, the DNA, the soil. I always say the soil will call you home.
Right.
The soil has a way of communicating, and as human beings, you may try to group up with a certain type of, or a group of people, I would say.
Right.
But you realize in the end, they don't speak your DNA.
Right.
They don't speak your language.
Right.
Yeah, there's something, there's a hidden communication between black people
Right.
that we understand
Right.
non-verbally.
Right.
So once you realize that and you get to that level of awakening, you want to know where you come from.
Right.
You want to know where is home.
Right.
What can I do there? And listen, the world is so vast.
Right.
Why settle for one place?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And the continent is massive.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
So definitely the awakening is taking place. I've seen a lot of friends, personal friends of mine, that have been able to come to Africa and they love it. And they're encouraging others, you know.
Right. Well, actually, there's something that you said that caught my attention. You said there is a hidden communication between black people. And I think that's one of the reasons as to why we are so misunderstood. That a person that left the continent hundreds of years ago and the person that stayed behind, they have that subliminal cultural, emotional, psychosocial connection.
It's the spiritual connection that
right,
we have.
Right.
Yeah, definitely.
Right.
The spiritual connection is so strong that even when you try to not pay attention to it,
right.
it's speaking to you.
Right.
It's speaking to your DNA. It's definitely speaking to your intelligence. So if eventually you will feel there is a void that you need to look into,
right.
and you can only cover that void within your group of people.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I'm keen to listen to hear from you. Of course, there is a global African awakening, and I've said several times on this platform since 2020 among the African people. But then, how can we, as African people on the continent, and from where you are based in the diaspora, be it America or Europe or the Caribbean, Australia, Canada, the Middle East, how can we, as a global African family, harvest or harness this global awakening? How can we benefit from it? In your opinion?
Before you even start talking about benefit, you have to talk about unity.
Right.
Unity. Because nothing will ever work without a unification
right.
of the black people.
Right.
Now, the majority is looking to Africa as a continent because we are the youngest population.
Right.
The future is Africa.
Right.
Yeah, we are the future. And you know, we have such a huge opportunity here due to technology. You know, technology was used to enslave our ancestors. It was used to destroy our nations, our cultures, and so on. But now we can use technology to bounce back.
Right.
So it's really up to us. And I think it's enough of, out of lack of the right words, crying for the spilled milk, so to say.
Right.
It's enough of the cries for our ancestors that were enslaved. What have we learned from that?
Right.
How can we move forward?
Right.
You understand? How can we move forward from that? I think that's where we need to put the focus. Yes, what happened through history.
Right.
I think we need to learn from that. If you look at other nations that were in such bad conditions compared to Africa, they already bypassed us. There's no reason why we're sitting here dwelling in our tears, oh, they enslaved us, they did this, they did that. Enough of it. We have all the minerals here. So I think unification first and foremost. Yeah.
Right.
Without unity, it's very, very hard.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that is very profound that you say that unity is the first line of bouncing back. Because, I normally jokingly tell people, well, not jokingly, that, our disunity is an asset in the hands of the enemy.
Yeah,
quote,
definitely,
unquote.
definitely.
Yes.
Definitely. I mean, if you want to destroy a population, just create some misunderstanding. They won't be able to grow as a people.
Right.
Yeah.
And so about the unification of the global African family, in your opinion, with the wealth of knowledge that you have, what do you think is the way to go in as far as uniting the global African family? Because there is people that have lived before us that have tried to unite the African people, but then they have fallen short somewhere. So I would love to hear from you. What do you think would be the better approach in your opinion? Just feel free to uniting, because these are people that are on different sides.
I'm not sure you're ready for my opinion, but I will tell you.
Just feel free. Just feel free, because I mean,
I'm a warrior, so I have a different approach.
Oh,
okay?
I understand what you mean, but you can give us bits and pieces.
I mean, bits and pieces. Listen, I think we've gone through different stages in Africa. Some places we're talking about war, poverty, failed infrastructure, education. We need to remember that we, the people, always put the leaders ahead of us, right?
Right.
Yeah. In other words, we elect them to represent us. But once they get in office, we get reluctant. We don't hold them accountable. That's one thing we need to start with. If I'm giving you my vote, what am I getting back?
Right.
I want to make sure that the schools are okay, that the hospitals are okay.
Right.
You know, that the roads are fine. Water, it's not impossible. It's not impossible.
Right.
But I don't know what happens exactly once we have elected our leaders. We kind of just leave everything up to them. We never go back and say, listen, you promised us to do this and this. What's the plan now? You know, what's the plan?
Right.
Yeah, and this is not just here in Uganda, it's everywhere. Yeah, so I think we need to start holding our leaders accountable for putting them in the positions to represent us as the people and help us build our countries.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that is, so the unity has to stem from the leadership angle, which is very important, because even the people that mean us no good target our leaders.
Yeah, but during elections, everyone is knocking on your door to get your vote.
Right.
When do you see them again? You never see them back.
Right. Till the next election.
Yeah.
Right. So I think you have a very important point about looking to elect people into positions of power that have the best interest of
definitely.
the African people in their hearts. And I'm sure you've heard of some of the leaders that we've had and how they ended up, Muammar Gaddafi, we are a bit unlucky as a black people, because we have so much against us. We have other nations that are making sure that we stay in the same place. You understand? We stay in the same place and they reap all the benefits from our continent. Right.
Yeah. So really, unification of our leaders, for them to stand up to the Western world and say, listen, you will not come to our country and dictate the price of coffee, for example.
Right.
Or you will not come here and dictate the price of gold. This is our mineral. We will decide the price and the terms and so on. We're not there yet. We're not there yet. And that's, with the story with Gaddafi, we all know what happened.
Right.
The plans that he had for our continent. And there's some people who are totally against that.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it's no secret that the unification of Africa is going to deal a death blow to many of the kingdoms that we see glamoring today. So they are fighting tooth and nail to make sure that we stay in that position of servitude. But I would love to hear from you, because I look at the diasporans, where you're based. I look at them as some kind of a silver bullet, because they are looking at Africa from an external position. And I believe that you guys carry so much in terms of, experience, knowledge, expertise, and of course, the people in the diaspora, they have lived through the systems that are used to keep Africa and Africans under servitude. So, what do you think, in your opinion, that the role of the diasporans can be or should be in this effort to unify the African continent and break these shackles of economic, social, and political oppression? What do you think that
Douglas, all knowledge is good,
right,
until it's applied, right? You can sit on knowledge, but if it's not applied to the issue and the problem, it's just as useless as not having it, right?
Right.
So the diasporans do have a lot of power in their hands that they're not using the right way.
Right.
Some of them are not necessarily interested in applying their knowledge to the issues that we face here because it's so difficult. It's so difficult. Where do you start from? The structure is not really there yet. That you can just pick up a phone and talk to someone about an issue and it's going to be addressed. You can write an email and it's going to be addressed. There is still a big gap. There's still a big gap that needs to be worked on. They are very organized in many countries. I see what they do. They're very organized, but organized from one side is useless if the other side to receive is not organized. You understand?
Right.
Yeah. So it's difficult. It's difficult. The logistics in between. Yeah. It's very, very difficult because even if I want to come back here as Olivia and do something, first of all, where do I start from? Where do I start from? I might end up in the wrong offices. I might end up with the wrong people. And one experience is enough to set me back and be like, you know what? I give up. Uganda is my home, but it's just going to be for vacations because of the headache people go through. Yeah. So we need to put the proper structure, and it's being worked on actually. So I know things will change, but changes always happen in very slow motion. Yeah.
Okay. So it's the logistics that will pave the way for the diasporans, from the people from your hemisphere, to bring their wealth of knowledge, skill, and expertise. And that is interesting because the diasporans do want to come home.
They do want to come home. I mean, doctors, lawyers, they want to be able to come back and apply their knowledge here. They want to be able to do that. I work with different groups of people. I have a group of Nigerian doctors that are doing very, very well because they set it up on their own and they're not going through any government officials. But eventually, this is what happens. When you come as a group of people and you start to stand out, you're doing this locally, right? You will still face some issues. No one will probably bother you if it's not growing on a massive scale, but once it starts growing on a massive scale, all kinds of regulations will come in that no one told you about in the beginning. Now this is going to bring issues, and it's just a mess.
Right, and I believe that part of the solution is identifying the problem, and you have made such a good diagnosis, so to speak, of the kind of infrastructural challenges that lie before us. And I believe that people like you and I that have actually identified what the problems are, now we can begin to lay the ground. And I'm very actually excited that we are even working together with even with the expo that we have coming up, because you have struck me as the person that knows what's up, so to speak, knows exactly what the problem is and how we can overcome. Because right now we really don't want this season of the global African awakening to pass us by. Because we can't let that happen.
It shouldn't. So many generations will suffer due to lack of knowledge, really, and neglect. There's no reason why Uganda or African countries are not taking lead on technology like the blockchain, cryptocurrency. The world is changing. The world will never go back to what it used to be.
Right.
Technology is here to stay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So you either adapt now, or you end up being on the menu.
Right.
Yeah, again.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, isn't the African continent tired of being on the menu?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I feel you, and honestly, I feel, when I listen to your voice, I feel the cry of a mother, for her children to come home. And honestly, I believe that we need to come forth as people that have sort of been exposed to the truths that are anchoring the servitude of the African continent and her descendants as well. And but also I want to hear from you, and I would love our audience to get a first-hand account of what your experience has been as a person that has left the continent and gone to the diaspora. What has your experience been as a Ugandan living? Because we hear about very many things of how, of things that happen to our people over there, but then it's different when you're talking to somebody that has actually been there. So what is the condition of our people? Not just the people that left the continent, but the people that you actually, you found there quote unquote. So because we see videos, we see a lot of things.
What do you see?
I mean, we see
What
our
do you
people
see?
being treated like chicken, and that angers me.
I think chicken
It
get better
enrages me.
treatment because you're gonna eat it.
Now, I mean, it enrages me to see how and how they are so fearful of coming home because of the propaganda that has been used to contaminate their image about Africa.
Well, again, you have to ask yourself, where do people get their source of information from? Now, if I'm listening to some Lugambo, you understand?
Yes, gossip.
Yeah, gossip.
Right.
Someone is feeding me. There's always a feeder to
Right.
destroy. If that's my source of information, definitely I will not have the right information. Definitely, because once information is passed on as a form of gossip, it's already destroyed.
Right.
Already destroyed. So yes, our people have different types of treatments everywhere. Even here in Uganda. Yeah, right?
Right.
Yeah, you've been to different African countries, so have I. People are treated differently everywhere. But when it comes to our people in the diaspora, everything begins with your setup. Everything begins with your setup. How did you set yourself up going to the Western world? Did you go into educating yourself, or did you settle for doing, side hustles, simple jobs like housekeeping, stuff like that? Maybe that's where you feel your knowledge, can take you. Or you didn't have the right motivation for you to go into education and be big. Like, how big are your dreams?
Right.
Everything starts with your dreams.
Right.
How big are your dreams? Maybe I'll settle for being a cleaner. I'm good. My salary is good. I can take care of my family. I'm good with that. And that's why there are so many services in the world. Every person, each individual will choose their line of service. The point is to be comfortable there and convenient, right? Some of us want more.
Right.
Some of us want more. I don't know about separation per se, myself. I left from here. I was done with primary school.
Right.
I continued my educations there. I've educated myself in numerous fields because I had the opportunities. They were there. I didn't see no reason why not to. If I was tired of one area, I was like, okay, I want to do this now. I want to do that. I like to evolve. That's me. I never settle.
Right.
Yeah. So evolving is so important to me. Now, you have people that settle, and things change. From the time that I moved to Europe in '92, things were very, very easy. Like, you move there, and if you are a lazy person, you'll be very convenient because the state will take care of you.
Right.
Yeah, education is free. But if you didn't want to, no one is forcing you. You will still have a home, and you'll be paid for, and you'll be convenient. You will never go hungry, and it's a cold environment. So when you are lazy, so to say, and you balance the income you're getting from the state and the income you get from getting up, go through the harsh cold, you'll be like, let me sit at home.
Right.
I'm okay. Let me sit at home. The shock came the years forward, okay? When the system drastically changed. And you can't do that anymore. Now, if you don't have an education, you can't get a job because you can't even speak the language. If you went to one of those countries where you have to learn the language, where do you start from? Now you may be in your 40s. Now you have to go back to the school bench. It's difficult.
Right.
So those situations changed a lot. It was a setup, not just for our people, but even the owners of the countries. Yeah.
Right.
It happened because this was a system that you found there. People were convenient with it, and the ones that were moving in took advantage of it the way they could. But it goes both ways. Yeah, you have Swedes that are suffering today because, they thought the married days were forever, and they were not. Right. So I've seen people in their 50s, 60s being forced to go back and at least get a diploma or a certificate to be able to get a job because You can't get a job today just like that without any type of training. You can't just get a home anymore. Sweden is one of the hardest places to get an apartment. You can Google it. It can take you 10 to 20 years to get a place to stay of your own. Yeah, so things are very difficult there. Now, it's not necessarily the same everywhere else. This is the Scandinavia. Other places are easier. You can move to New York today. If you have your money, you will get your place. No problem. If your English is not good, you have no education, there are fields of work. Again, how big is your dream? How big is your dream? You know, if you go in there to settle, you settle. Because Mexicans, how do they come in? They don't even speak the English. They have jobs from day one because the jobs are there. They do gardening, they do farming, they do all kinds of work, right? That's their field. That's where they want to be. So they're comfortable. So again, if you want to evolve, you have to have a plan. How are you going to set yourself up? And anywhere you go, you should be going there to evolve, not to just settle like still water. You should be able to evolve. You should want that for yourself. You should want that for yourself. You've heard about people who say, I went to America with $20 in my pocket and they're millionaires. How did they do it? The American dream is there for real. It's there for real. Of course, someone will say, oh, why do they require education on the visa applications and so on? Because first and foremost, they want people that will build their countries. Yeah. But if you get a chance and you go there and you have your limitations, it shouldn't keep you from building your dream. Yeah. But in other nations, it can actually. Yeah. So again, how big are your dreams?
So you were actually speaking straight to to the people that have left the continent and have gone there. Thanks for that wonderful word of encouragement. I know that somewhere out there, many out
it's
there.
It's not easy. It's never easy to leave your home. Listen, if we had everything here, our continent is the best. We have everything here, but the struggle. Because of the struggles here, no one wants to just sit and wait for that struggle to be over, and which is good because we get out there, we see what's there, and we can bring back the knowledge, apply it here, and see what to do with it. And many are doing that. Many are doing that. Come on, if we all stayed here and no one left, we don't know for sure how our nation would be like. We don't know.
Wow. Thank you for those wonderful words of encouragement. I know there's lots of people, not just from Uganda, but from all across the African continent that have gone to Europe and to
I know you don't want my glasses on, but my eyes
No,
are
we are now good. I just
crying.
wanted the audience to see your beautiful queen face. So you're now good. Please, now that is from the perspective of a person that left the continent at after the 60s, 70s, to go to the diaspora. But then now from the point of view of a person, of a person that left the continent under the era of slavery, whether they settled in the Caribbean or they were taken to the Americas, regardless, and they are looking at the African continent like, and they have that spiritual connection.
Yes, they
what
do.
What would you say to such a person? Because I know there's lots of fears about the continent that have been implanted into the minds of our people. But as a person that
you'll be shocked that, and I know this personally because I hang around different Caribbean people. I'm in different communities. So being on the front line as a community leader, you meet so many people. Yeah, and I'll tell you that you'll be so surprised that Caribbean people know more about the African history than we do. They are so rooted in a history that is incredible. They know the difference. They know that was just a boat ride rest that was named after them, Jamaicans. It's the Africans. They know that very well. Yeah, and many of them will tell you, yeah, I come from Jamaica where they took my ancestors from, but I'm very well aware that I'm African. If you listen to their music, the reggae music, and the roots, and even the dance hall, they never leave the African continent out. But you ask yourself, how many have been here? Not so many per se, but the passion within. Yeah,
Right.
passion within. They know so much about the continent. And a lot of them, try to come to Africa. They love it. Coming to Africa to many black people is like going to Mecca for the Muslims or to Jerusalem
Right.
for the Catholics. So it's a big deal. It's a big deal. But I understand, again, the structure is not put together the right way either to get groups of people that want to come and do that. And you as an individual, if you're not used to traveling, you're not even aware about where to start from. 54 countries now, right?
Right.
Which one should I pick? Where is it safe? And then, of course, the propaganda and so on.
Colonization never ended in the white supremacist system. And as we see today, the colonization is in the mind. Now, those who have been enslaved and those who have been colonized, we're still dealing with the remnants of that through the colonization of the mind. Pick up my book, 7 Steps to Decolonize the Mind, and we will help deprogram you from the colonization that was put upon you by generations and generations of white supremacy. You can pick it up today on Amazon.com.